It's week 2 of the high school football season, and our Litter Media cameras will be headed out to the township this weekend as the Huntsmen take on the Southeastern Panthers. In just a moment, my conversation with Huntington coach Scott Keller. But first, this from Hometown Motors Incorporated.
Husqvarna handhelds, chainsaws, trimmers, leaf blowers, hedge trimmers, and more. Buy it here, get it serviced here. Hometown Motors Incorporated, 818 Eastern Avenue, Chillicothe.
Talk about how last weekend went, and then we'll get into some other things like what the summer was like and all.
All right. It was obviously a bit different the way, like you talked about the summer. We knew everything was going to change, and, football as we know it was going to be a bit different with the policies and the rules that we have in place. So that was odd. And then, you go out there on a Friday night and you finally like, okay, sweet. We finally get to play a football game. We get out there and we're 2/3 of the way through pregame, warm-ups and stretching. Next thing you know, we've got lightning. We're off the field, and it continues for an hour and a half. And we decided we're going to go back over there Saturday at 4:00. So, it's like we are continually, and we're having to check off an audible at the line of scrimmage all the time, and we just have to be ready to go and accept the fact that nothing is normal right now. Everything is a bit different. So from that standpoint, it was odd. But, going into the game, like you said, last year we were primarily freshmen and sophomores. This year, primarily sophomores and juniors. So we're a year better. We're a year stronger. We've spent a lot of time in the weight room. These kids are really committed to that. So I'm proud of that. That's something that we haven't had as a program ever here. 45 years of football, we've never really had an established weightlifting program that you obviously need. So that was, in essence, a positive for us this summer in a way. But, even going into that game, you look at the score and you look at the stats, and people see a 25-0 game. As a coach, when I sit down and we look at the film on Sunday and break that thing down. Offensively, we've got a ways to go. We're breaking in a brand new quarterback who's really never played the position before. He transferred in here from Dayton 2 years ago, and he transferred in as an offensive lineman, Nick Marion. Next thing you know, 2 years later, the kid put in his mind that he wanted to be a quarterback, and he became completely consumed by that. So, he's one of those stories that people just wouldn't really believe. I mean, here's a kid that, like I said, he comes in as an offensive lineman. Next thing you know, 2 years later, he's starting as a quarterback. So there's going to be a lot of growing pains with him from that position. So we got to be patient with that. We started, 5 sophomores on the offensive line. There's going to be growing pains with that still. So you still got to be patient. But, we were very, very pleased with the way our defense played Saturday. You look at the 25 points, 2 of those were on a safety, on a bad snap, on a punt. And basically the offense, was so stuck in the mud that there was another touchdown that basically came down to the offense, made some mistakes, gave Zane Trace the ball in an easy position, and next thing you know, they score. So, we looked at it from a defensive standpoint that we basically gave up 2 scores, and we really played solid the whole entire time. So, as much as you want to get frustrated as a coach because you're so young, so you're so inexperienced, you're still learning, there are a number of bright spots that we really see on a daily basis. And you can see these young kids who are just now getting their driver's license that, they're improving every day and they're getting better. So, hopefully there are brighter days ahead. But, right now we're still experiencing some of those growing pains.
I think one thing that people don't understand is you have to get these young kids jacked up emotionally, ready to go into a game on Friday night. They have to go through that hour and a half, 2-hour delay, and then suddenly the rug's pulled out from underneath of them. You're coming back tomorrow. And you're coming back tomorrow afternoon at 4:00, the hottest part of the day.
Yeah,
and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. That is part of the game as well that people just don't seem to grasp a lot, do they?
No, they don't. It's with sports, and those of us who played sports, and even us as coaches, we're driven by routine, we're driven by discipline, we're driven by plans. So when that routine gets disturbed, when those plans get thrown in the trash, we have to be able to adapt to that. And when you're dealing with young kids, inexperienced kids who are just kind of learning this and trying to, learning the game and learning how they're supposed to act and learning how they're supposed to prepare themselves mentally, all of a sudden, like you say, the rug gets pulled out from under them. We're on the bus, we're going home, and we got to go back over there for a 4:00 game that has the feel of a scrimmage, basically. So that's difficult to do. But I think from where I was looking at it as a coach, I think our kids responded pretty well to it. I think we came out ready to play. You look at the first quarter, it was a 0-0 game at the end of the first quarter. So we adjusted to that, and these kids have done a great job adjusting, period, to everything that's happened this summer. I think hats off to them because, it seems every single week we're telling them there's something different. There's a new rule. There's a new policy. Well, now you can't do this or you can do this. So I think the way the summer operated kind of helped us out a lot this past weekend with those changes, because now I think kids are just like, I'm going to show up every day. I'm going to do the best I can. If we got to do something different, then we're going to do something different. But at least we get to play football. So I think that's the approach that they kind of took. So right now, the lack of experience, that really wasn't a big factor from the Friday to Saturday thing. But as a coach, having gone through it before in the past, it drastically affected previous teams that I've had to go through that. But these kids right now, it really didn't a whole lot, I don't think.
I think that might be one of the positives out of this whole pandemic is the kids have had to adapt and react to many things. And
right.
There's no better game than football to see that in action and fruition right in front of you.
Yeah, that's no kidding. I think, with football especially, as a coach, you're trying to get kids to understand and teach them to be comfortable when they're uncomfortable. There's nothing comfortable as a former quarterback coaching quarterbacks. There's nothing comfortable when you're standing in the pocket and you've got 21 guys running around the field in all different directions, and 11 of them really want to try to hurt you. I mean, at the end of the day, that's their job as a defense, is to get you to you and put you on the ground. So that's uncomfortable. So you have to learn to adapt and to find yourself and put yourself in a situation where you can be comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. So really, like you're talking about from the pandemic standpoint and the way that we've had to adapt, that's really what that's a byproduct of this whole entire thing. Is this is an uncomfortable situation that we're all in, not just these kids, but us as adults and everybody else too. Can you find any type of comfort, any type of sense of reality, and any type of direction while we're totally being uncomfortable because the world's been turned upside down right now? And truth be told, I think kids adapt a lot easier to that type of change than what we as adults do.
You've got an interesting situation. Back to your quarterback here. I mean, I've heard of quarterbacks becoming tight ends. I've seen
right.
linebackers also as quarterbacks.
Right.
But I don't recall an offensive lineman becoming a quarterback.
No, I don't either. I mean, usually, like you're saying, you have a quarterback competition, and the quarterback who's number 2, you find a position. Okay, he's either going to be a tight end, he's either going to be a wide receiver. He may be, okay, we'll put him over a safety and still rep him a quarterback. No, I've never heard in my life of a kid who's an offensive tackle and he shows up and he's 6 foot, 200 pounds, and then all of a sudden, a couple years later, he's a 6'2", 185-pound quarterback who's totally, as I said earlier, he is absolutely consumed by the idea of playing that position. And hats off to him, because he has put in all of the work, whether it's in the weight room, whether it's out on the field, in his backyard throwing, to allow himself to develop into that position and that type of player. So, it's really incredible. As an adult sitting here, I admired the kid, because this kid set a goal for himself and nothing was going to distract him from that goal. I mean, we would be foolish as adults to not at some point in time, sometimes look to kids and be motivated by some of the kids and the decisions that they make. We can't be naive to that. I mean, learning is a two-way street sometimes. I'm not just there to teach them all the time. Sometimes they, as kids, if we open our eyes and listen with our ears, we can learn things from them too. I mean, because at the end of the day, that kid set a goal and he put himself on a path, and he was not going to let himself get distracted by anything in any way, shape, or form in that manner. So, again, it's incredible what that kid's done in the last 2 years.
This weekend, you'll have to, you went through keeping your kids focused from the weather concern and then coming back the next day to go right back at it again. This time you'll have senior night and many other distractions to go along with it. It's like you've got, I don't know, county fair thrown in together with homecoming and everything.
Yeah, right.
Night. So plus it's opening night. So what are your expectations, your real expectations for your ball club as you get ready to take on the defending SVC champs?
Well, I think right now, we've been really pleased with the focus that they have and their attention to detail. We've really challenged them as a coaching staff. I think last year, they were so young as freshmen and sophomores. We really treated them like a JV team or a really experienced junior high team in a sense. We put the kid gloves on, and there wasn't a whole lot of yelling. There wasn't a whole lot of just, chewing a kid out or making sure that everything was in order the way we as coaches normally expect from a varsity football team. But this year, as we've told them, like, our expectations need to raise, and we're going to expect more out of you. We're going to demand more out of you. We're going to start treating you like we would normally treat a varsity football team from the discipline standpoint, from the expectation standpoint. And, they've totally bought into that. So we're pleased with the progress that they've made, the maturity that they've shown, the work ethic, their commitment. So if we can keep that going, I think we're going to continue to improve. I think we're going to get better. We're going to get stronger. We're going to start recognizing things and seeing things in games that you can't prepare them for in practice. 30% of every game is going to come down to experience. Has the kid ever been in that situation? Have they ever seen anything that they're going to see right now on a field? We can put them in that spot in practice, but until the lights are on and the band shows up, it really doesn't matter. They at the end of the day, for a lot of our kids, they just got to get on the field and play. That's where they're going to improve. It's just going out there Friday night and playing.
For the first time in 4 years, people are taking on a Southeastern team that hasn't had Lane Ruby to deal with.
Thank God, man.
Which is good news.
Yes, it is.
They still have Mikey Nusser. They still have McWhorter and kids that can make things happen, though.
Right. And, just because Lane's gone, which, hallelujah, thank goodness, that was enough to deal with for 4 years, my Lord. Like you said, they still have weapons. And the thing with them is they have experience. They've been in big games. Those kids, they've been there. They know what to expect. They know what that kind of pressure feels like. And they've still got kids that can carry the ball and still move the ball. So it's still going to be a challenge for us. One, they're extremely physical, and their style of play isn't something that you can replicate in practice. There's no way that we can expect our scout team to give us the same kind of look offensively or defensively with their physicality and their timing and the way they run things. We're not going to get a clean look in practice. So, what we're hoping and we're trying to make sure as coaches is it's not going to be a total shock to our kids' system when they get out there on Friday and all of a sudden, well, now it's turned into basically just a street fight, because that's kind of the way it plays. They line up and they play physical, smash mouth, 1940 football, and you've just got to be prepared for that and ready for that. And like I said, there's not a whole lot you can do on the practice field to get them ready for that.
Yeah, that double tight formation and all the misdirection and everything. That's
Right.
tough for experienced teams, but I got to think that if you can keep the game close, you get into the third quarter, hopefully your kids have adapted by that time and to have a shot at them late in the game.
Right, and I think that's our big hope for every game, especially with it still being as young as we are, is and we've told them you can't make mistakes. We can't have crazy penalties. We can't have turnovers. You got to eliminate the penalties. You got to eliminate the turnovers. And in reality, I basically told these kids, we've got to play trestle ball, which to them, these kids, they don't remember that. I was talking to them about the 2002 national championship game, right? And I'm sitting back thinking, 18-year-olds, are you kidding me? How old are we? But no, play smart on offense. Don't turn the ball over. Control the football. Don't put yourself behind the sticks. Punt the ball when you have to punt the ball. Punting from the 40-yard line is against everything that I've ever done in my life. But if we got to punt from the 40 and try to pin them, that's what we do. And then put your defense on the field, because I'm really excited about what I see out of this defense and what this defense can be. So, that's what we're going to do. We're just going to try to play smart, play disciplined. Don't turn the ball over. Don't take any crazy shots. Protect everything, punt, and play defense, man. And if you can do that and put yourself in a position to win the game, then, that hats off to them, because that's all we ask for them as coaches right now. Put yourself in a position to try to be successful, like you said, late in the third or fourth quarter, by just being smart and not making mistakes.
If you see the Litter Media cameras, make sure you give us a wave and a holler. And don't forget to watch for a complete highlight package available Tuesday from this Friday's Litter Media Game of the Week, Southeastern at Huntington. I'm Dan Ramey. Thanks for watching Litter Media.